Hey everybody, welcome back. This is Matt from Durable Sports, and I just wanted to kind of talk about the offseason as a whole for a couple different teams. We'll put the Panthers and Sharks against each other because I think I'm mainly going to talk about them, especially with the Panthers. I know everyone's like, this is a super team and everything, but goaltending is the big issue. I think Markstrom is good. As a Devil fan, even though it was only 5 games, I thought he played really well in the playoffs. He gets hot and cold. I think he's a capable goalie to win a Stanley Cup. I truly do. I'm a big fan of Schmidt because of that series win, but even in Vegas, I know he was a little shaky at times, but I like him as a backup. I know he's right now going to arbitration, right? And they got the Brady from Brady Kachuk and everything. Brady from Brady Kachuk. From the Brady Kachuk trade. So I think the forward group's pretty good. Defense. I'm not saying they guarantee to win a championship. I'm just saying I think I understand the lack of trust in Markstrom, but like he'd had some rough seasons and bounced back pretty well. I understand the age thing is going to be a huge sticking point for some people. I don't really see that. He's a little inconsistent, sure, but I think he's capable. I gotta remember before Bob won his Stanley Cups, right? That was a big thing. He never really went on a deep run before they lost in 23. So like that's always something to look at as the Panthers scored twice to show you, look how good they are, right? But yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting, right? Because you're not a Stanley Cup winning goaltender until you do it. But I would say 3 or 4 years ago, you would probably have more faith in Marshall winning a cup than Bob. So yeah, that's why I'm a little interested in kind of like the narrative going on around that and seeing what you guys kind of think about it. But yeah, I'm okay with Markstrom. I think Markstrom could be good. I think the cap is a little inflated. As a Devil fan, I was kind of happy with the trade that we got Evan Rodriguez and stuff like that, and Holmquist came back. But I don't know. I think it's a decent trade. Granted, he could have a struggle of a year, but I think it's a decent gamble. I don't know what goalie. If they weren't going to pay Bob, and Bob's now in Toronto, I don't know what the real plan was then. Like if you were gonna not pay Bob and you weren't gonna trade for Markstrom, who are you gonna trade for? I know the rumor is that like Wallstead may be on the move from Minnesota, which I I don't know why like Minnesota would do that. I guess they're okay with sticking with Gustafson as like the Stanley Cup goalie, but like I think Wallstead looked great. I know he had that struggle of a series against Colorado. Most people did. Colorado was pretty great until Vegas kind of did it, but there's some injuries and stuff. But yeah, I like Wallstead a lot and stuff like that. I guess I can touch on like the whole Minnesota checking in about Jack Hughes. I don't think anything's really going of it. I think Bill Gannon's kind of just doing his job. I think the goal is to try and keep Quinn Hughes long term. And how would you do that? He had his brother with them, right? The Luke Hughes contract, maybe a bit of an anchor right now. It may not be a great contract, but I'm still okay with like the upside. I think Luke still has some decent upside. I'm not saying he's going to be Quinn or Jack or anything, but I think like if you tell me he gets like 60 points this season, I don't think it will be the most ridiculous thing. Maybe I'm overhyping it, right? Like maybe being a little bit of a homer, but I don't know. I don't see why Panther just keeps going. Yeah, I don't really see that being such a huge contract, especially with the cap going up. Like there's still a lot of skill there. It's just still taking him a while to get make it all connect together. But I think he's gonna be okay. Let's transition to the Sharks as they are down 3-0. Um the Trouba and Nurse thing I find interesting. I think Trouba, yeah, was a little expensive, and the Nurse thing's a little interesting with like giving up assets and then not retaining. But I guess this is their all-in push, right? To be like, we're a playoff team now. They almost made it last year, and it's almost like a good thing that they didn't, right? Because now you have Stenberg. I know how much you want to get back into the playoffs as you're a Sharks fan, but like Stenberg looked like he's going to be awesome, and you got the two defensemen in the first round as well because Greer moved up. They're going to be cool to watch. Celebrini looks like a stud. Will Smith. I know they're probably a little nervous about what Celebrini's numbers could or will be because of the Leo Carlson thing, which I previously mentioned yesterday. So that will be interesting. They don't have to get it done immediately, but definitely be mindful of what's going on with Carlson because you don't want that to happen to you. Because if Carlson's getting what 18, Celebrini could get what like 24, 25, like in an offer sheet scenario. So yeah. or he can maybe take a discount, so we don't know exactly where his mind lies. Also, Michael Misa is like, you know, he like he's almost like somebody nobody even talks about anymore. Meanwhile, he's like a number 2 overall pick. He looks pretty good, not a huge sample size there, but yeah, I find it interesting about like the Panthers, and I understand the goaltending issue, but like Bob wasn't proven until he was. And I get it, Markstrom's old, so can he bounce back? Can he not? That's always an interesting thing to talk about, but I don't know. I'm not saying they're winning the Stanley Cup. I'm just saying I don't think it's like such a weakness like that it could just be the end all be all of like their series of their season. Yeah, I find that very interesting. Oilers moving off of Nuss is interesting. They got Mukhamadullin back and somebody else who I'm forgetting right now. Mukhamadullin signed a 2-year contract. I think it's like a 1.645 or something like that. That's pretty good. Big young guy. As a Devil fan, we drafted him, but we traded him in the Timo Maya trade. We can transition, I guess, to I guess the Devils, right? We'll talk about them for a little bit. Um, I like the offseason. I think we still need a top 6 forward, and we still know what's going on with Barrett Hayden. Rumor is now that Utah's going to match the Barrett Hayden thing, and the Ducks may not match Leo Carlson, so I find that interesting. So I'll be a solid 0 for 2 on that. Yeah, but yeah, I like overall like Aaron Rodriguez and Boquist thing, just some depth options there. We didn't spend a lot of money in free agency. I didn't think it was a great free agency to begin with, so I'm okay with that. But so far so good. I think the draft was pretty solid for the Devils. Yeah, so I'm possibly I think we could be a playoff team. Everything relies on Jack Hughes. If Jack Hughes is hurt, it's hit or miss if we're a playoff team. If he's healthy, I think we're very much a playoff team, even with the East being as good as it is. I think we will be a playoff team. How far we go, that's debatable, especially right now since we'll be rocking Dawes and Allen. So this is Dawes' big shot to become the starter. So we'll see how that goes. So let's transition. Let me transition to the Rangers because I find the Rangers fascinating. I like the Vinny Trocheck trade for them. I think Vinny Trocheck is the best player in that deal, but I do like Sean Durzi quite a bit. And it's you're shuffling, and then you get Bjorkstrand as a free agent, I believe. And I'm like, okay, and then they trade like a 2031st for Marcus Peterson, and I know it's top 10 protected, but that's it's interesting to me, like very interesting. So I don't know, like are they just retooling? Like I understand the letter said retooling, but like you can retool and also like like get draft picks and assets. I'm fascinated to see how this goes because like 2030, I understand you want to compete by then, but is that really the game plan? Is that how you're gonna go? So I'm interested to see how that goes into them and how that works. I'm like, when you have your stuff and you have a chance, you also have a Corpusal now, which I think is a fine backup. Probably a little overpaid, but with the cap now, 4 million as a backup may be fine because I think Stuart Skinner got like 3.25, 3.5 from Winnipeg, which is, oh, he's a backup, but maybe we'll trade Hellebuck. So I'm interested to see if Hellebuck does get moved to Buffalo. But on a little bit of a tangent, back and forth to a lot of things in the league. But there's a lot of cool things going on, which is nice because, you eventually hit the dog days of summer and there's not a lot to talk about. So a lot of interesting stuff still to come, I think, for the next couple of weeks in the NHL season, at least for the next week or two. So yeah, it's a lot of interesting stuff. I just find the goaltending being such an Achilles heel fascinating because I don't deem it as that like huge, I guess, because like there were other Stanley Cup contenders like Avalanche for years were going in with Georgiev after they won with Kemper, and they thought like nothing of it. And I think that would have been a bigger risk than Markstrom. So I find that very fascinating. Um, yeah, a lot of teams are looking interesting. I think this could be a really interesting, fun year. Like Ottawa without Brady Tkachuk, they're still a good team. We'll see how they fill the holes of Brady Tkachuk. I think it's hard to find a power forward like him. And now he's obviously in Florida, so that's very interesting. And like, say the Ducks don't match, do do they do something with those draft picks? Do they keep those draft picks? I mean, you still have some prospects in the pipeline that still haven't played for you yet, but a lot of like unanswered questions that like we're in to the double-digit dates of July. I actually no, we're not. We're on the 7th, but well, I thought it was the 11th. Time flies. you there's still question marks, and I understand that it's only a week since free agency opened, but there's still question marks that I usually feel like we would be answered by now. So I find that really intriguing. Because like there's some teams like I think the Panthers are like who the Panthers are the Panthers, right? Like I think this is their roster, but there's still a couple that I'm interested. Like the Buck, like to me, if you don't have Leo Carlson, you have to do something, right? Like you can't just keep those 4 first-round picks. Like you just lost a first line center. Who's your center? Ryan Strom? You're gonna go into the season with Ryan Strom as your number one after what a remarkable season that was. I can't see them not matching. I understand the reports out there that they may not match it, but I can't see like you had so much positivity. But like if you do match it, like what happens with Gauthier? Like that's just an interesting thing in and above itself. Um, let's talk about Montreal. Montreal just looks like last year looked like it was uh more than a step. Like, it I didn't think I would thought they might win around, but then going to the Eastern Conference Finals, that's huge for the young kids. I understand Caulfield and Suzuki played in the Stanley Cup final, but like this is their Montreal Canadiens, They were along for the ride and they were a big piece of it, but it wasn't like their team. It was still like, oh, they have Carey Price, they got Shea Weber, like this is Suzuki and Caulfield's team. Cool. So I find this very interesting. Like Safkowski's a part of it, but to me, the two pillars are Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Not taking away from anything from Lane Hudson, it's just mainly that like they started the whole like this era of Habs hockey. So I find that really interesting. Obesh looked great. Um, a lot of interesting, cool stuff. If you're a Habs fan, a lot of it. I think you should be very excited to see how the season goes. Like it should be very fun for you. Same with the Sabres. They finally, they finally had avoided the drought and everything. So good on them. I'm just very excited to see the office sheets and what happens. And I think depending on what happens with the office sheets, I think we're gonna see trades happen, like a lot of cool trades. Like I think the Ducks will be like say the Ducks don't match. I think the Ducks will be pressured into do something to get like at least a second line center, and then like have two second line centers in Strom and him. Unless I'm forgetting a center. I mean, maybe Roger McQueen plays now. I don't know if that's something that is possible, but that could be interesting. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the Ducks, the Panthers, the Sharks, or any other team I mentioned or maybe haven't mentioned. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your day, and hopefully I will see you soon. Bye.